started to fall, and where were you? How could I know you were falling too? Grabbing the wind, cutting my skin, but it's hard because I'm falling. Tell me why I'm falling. Oh, life's calling, but it's hard because I'm falling, falling.
Alright, sorry for the no audio here. This is a voiceover saying thank you for joining us, and I apologize, my mic wasn't working, but I get it working right about now. This one to you, and uh, yeah. So I'm excited to bring this one to you with some beautiful human beings. We got Dan, well-known GM, back-to-back GM of the season. We've got Valence, who is making his caster return, and we've got Jaxoy, a new face on the block. How are y'all doing today?
Doing very good.
I'm doing all right. So thought somebody else was gonna talk, but I'm doing all right, Squirrel.
Yeah, and what about you, Jax? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good myself. I'm excited to talk about some.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jax, I think your mic might be cutting out a little bit.
Oh God, Squirrel version 2.
Yeah, me version
What?
2.
Ooh,
It's cutting out now, but it wasn't cutting out earlier.
No, you got through that sentence just fine. It was great.
Yeah.
good start, guys. Good start.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's okay.
sir.
Good
Uh,
start.
so everyone watching, this episode is going to be a little bit different than our previous episodes. We're going to try something new for a few weeks, see how you like it. So make sure you give us your feedback on it. But these episodes are going to be shorter, and we're going to try to get one out every week. This was Dan's idea, and I think it's a great idea. We'll see what y'all think because obviously the community is the most important part of this. So let's hop right on into it as we have uh, we just finished up a week going into a break, and there were a bunch of matches being played. And I want Jaxaway to talk us through some standout matches that happened in the Novice League.
So in the novice league, we actually had a matchup against the undefeated Pawns, um, led by Captain Mr. Silent along with Swift and Malo, heading up against Fusion, who were winless, 0-3, Moving Pillow, Cyclone, Nitrous Oxide. The interesting thing about this matchup was I think almost everyone was rooting for Pawns to win this game and believed Pawns would win this game, which, you know, to the script that, Nemesis likes to write, Diffusion did end up pulling the sweep. Game 1, Pawns were up 0 in the first half, and afterwards, Diffusion didn't allow a single other goal the entire rest of the series. The goals were scored by Mr. Silent and Swift early on, but a ton of missed opportunities. Malo, Diffusion was able to fight back, and Removing Pillow ended up scoring overtime goal to take game 1. And after that 2-0 choke by the Pawns, I don't think anyone had a lot of faith in them afterwards, because in games 2 and 3, Diffusion won both games 1-0, one in an overtime shutout. In game 3, with 30 seconds left, Cyclone was able to tuck home a goal, a beautiful aerial double tap goal off the crossbar. And I think the worst parts about games 2 and 3, which helps you recognize that it is Novice League, is the amount of empty net whiffs that we witnessed between the two teams. It was sort of unbearable. A lot of like face palms going on. I think myself, Bubbly, GM of Diffusion were just, their hair was turning white during. But besides good shots that did come through, Fusion upset Pawns. Pawns is going to have a lot of questions going next.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I got to cast that game, and I was face palming in the booth. I was a little bit drunk, but that was okay. But I think Mallow might have been a little drunk too because his mechanics weren't quite there, and Pawns losing their undefeated streak, leaving Whelps as the only undefeated team heading into division games. But that's a good shout. Definitely one of the standout games from the Novice League. So on to Prospect League. What were some standout games for you from the last week, Mr. Dan?
So I actually have two standout games. The first game is Bandits 3-0ing the Wyverns. At the time, they were both 3-0, and I do believe that both these games I'm going to be talking about were on stream.
Mm-hmm.
Bandits, they just took over. The Wyverns kind of just fell apart. But granted, nobody really believed that the Wyverns were going to be 3-0 to start the season, which I do give them props for that. The Bandits, they have Frosty returning back to the roster again for the Sloth Org, and they just turned house with the Wyverns, and very good standout from there from Frosty.
And
Then the
why?
other game, I do believe was, like I said, was also on stream, was Velocity 3-0ing the Vipers. I heard some people talking about the Vipers maybe going 18-0. That's very hard to do, very unrealistic. Did they have a chance? Yes. But Velocity, they showed up, and I truly didn't believe Velocity could actually handle the Vipers. Excuse me. I thought truly the Vipers were going to take it in 4. But Velocity showed me otherwise, and now when you're looking at it, the Vipers are 3-1 and Velocity is now 2-2 heading into divisional games.
And yeah, the Wyverns. I want to talk about that one for a second. When they lost on stream, they were missing C Money, who, a very well-known player in the Prospect League, who was unfortunately unable to make it, and it showed. Like they took a beating without him. And recently they made some roster changes, so we'll see how that works out for them. But uh, you hate to see an undefeated team lose without their one of their like key players and have to play with a sub. But Challenger League, there were a few standout games in the Challenger League. The first was Papayas and Ascension, and I think besides Ascension Flame, this was probably the next most anticipated matchup. As soon as Ascension beat Flame, and then we had Papayas and Ascension coming up to face each other, two undefeated teams is always going to be something to look out for. And I don't think anyone would have bet money on Papayas to win that one, but they did, and they took it 3-1, which was huge, huge for their confidence. And I think it really shows that they're there to win. And then the other one, you mentioned it before we started, Dan, was Raptors and Flame. Flame kind of coming off that loss from Ascension. There's always a bunch of questions around Flame on how they're going to do without local, and they're doing fantastic so far. And that win against Raptors, making them 3-1, is a huge win for Flame. Uh, Proving that, even though local's out for 4 more games, they still got it, and they're still probably a top 4 team, even though they're sitting there at number 7 in the standings. So Valence, you're our rival guy in the booth. What you got for
Okay.
rival league?
All right. So I have two standout games for Arrival that happened. First one I got is Vortex versus Knights. Now this one, actually, both my matches weren't played on stream, so I didn't really get to see what happened. But Vortex and Knights being the standout game because I've played against both teams already. Knights in a scrim and Vortex. I've played in a match already on stream. Um, and Vortex did surprise us. So I could see how this match was a little bit close, but judging on what I played against with Vulcan, Squintle, and Sosa on the Knights, they've proven to be a very strong roster, especially with Vulcan there. Squintle kind of being one of those sleeper players for some folks out there. So I was kind of surprised that Vortex was able to take it against Knights because I definitely think Knights are the better team. So that was kind of a surprise to me, but I will give props to Vortex for for taking that home because when I did play them, we all kind of discussed that they do have a lot better kind of rotate their rotation wise is really what gives them the edge, I think, in that whole thing, and their defense is very strong, so I think that's what gave them the edge over Knights. Um, and the other standout game, I'm gonna pick the Kings versus Lightspeed game. Kings 3-0ing Lightspeed. Because actually, um, Kings was when I played them before, they were an okay team. They weren't really a team that I was thinking anyone would be really worried about. Because after looking at Lightspeed before they made any roster changes, um, I think it was Kinetic. I know Kinetic was on Lightspeed. I forget the other player though, but it was definitely three people that I thought would mesh a lot, like actually mesh really well. But it just then didn't end up working out, and Kings ended up taking the 3-0 sweep. But kind of like going into the matches I went through, I do know Lightspeed um actually got rid of I think 3 players, and now have Farah and Quicksnail now that came from the Bearcats. Because I actually, now that I think about it, I think Lightspeed had Kinetic, Casp, and Essentro. I think Casentoro. Um, and they both went to Bearcats, and then Kinetic went to Vortex. So it'll definitely, I think, with these roster changes too, it'll definitely create more standout games than what happened the most prior week
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree 100% there. Like a lot of roster changes this past Sunday morning, it's like Saturday into Sunday, with the hold releasing, and I know Dan, you capitalized on that a lot with some good pickups there. I don't really know if Chess Hall made any roster moves there, but I know a lot of people were waiting on those holds to end, and that's going to make Power Rankings' job. Uh, a lot harder this upcoming week because so many rosters have changed. But let's knock out Titan League real quick. There were some standout games there. The first one I think was Banana Pinnacle. I think Pinnacle is a very very good team, and you'll see why with my next standout game. But when Bananas took that game, that's when I realized like, all right, Bananas are, it's not just a fluke. They're a decent team, one to look out for. Unfortunately, they're in the same division as Krakens, so we'll hit that one later too. But Blizzard beating Pinnacle was a solid one, and then Pinnacle beating Inferno 3-1. This was my other standout game because Pinnacle 3-1's a Titan team with a novice league player in the lobby, and that is ridiculous. You're talking about like a dang near. It could be anywhere between 3,000 to like down to like 2,300 MMR difference. That's a lot. That is
Yeah.
that is ridiculous. But shout out to Flight Night for that one. And I know my quick math was off there with the MMR difference, but that's okay.
Just a little
Yeah.
bit.
2,000 to like uh no
We'll
one
say roughly around 700.
1K to 700 difference. There we go.
I'll
That's the
definitely say that that would be the biggest head scratcher of all of season 7,
mm-hmm.
and it will be hard to beat that.
I agree. Uh
Absolutely.
so now standout matches though, a lot of great matches last week. Do y'all have any final thoughts before we get on to some hot takes?
Divisional games coming up. Looking forward to
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yep.
gonna be a good week. Very good week.
Yep.
Standings will definitely be affected by these next coming weeks coming up.
Yep.
This is where
So
stuff comes.
hot takes from the hot man himself, Dan. What you got
I
coming out of the novice league?
Well, I seen my Frost team lose against this team Saturday night, the Wisps, and having their first win in 2 seasons. That's pretty incredible to watch, even though it was against my team. But saying that, I have the Wisps making the playoffs this season.
Okay.
I truly think they can do it if they stick together and stick with the basics. Wisps, watch out for them. My hot take stands.
Valence, what are your thoughts on that one?
I don't. You know what? From what I do know about the Wisps, I don't. I kind of agree with it. I'll keep it. I'll stick with his word on that.
Yeah.
I'll stick with his word that they make playoffs.
Yeah.
I'll stick with it. Yeah.
Now, Jax, you got thoughts on that one?
So you can correct me if I'm wrong, but did Wisp just play Frost? Play Danzorg Frost again?
Yes.
So the way they played there, again, I think they were being underrated again. And they came back and I think they defeated Frost 3-1 in the series. I did like the way they played, so I don't think that's far out of the question. They can keep that level of play going. The rest of
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a hot take with how they started their season off, but um, I think they can do it because especially with these division matches coming up, those are the ones that really matter. If you can take some of those games off, then you can make playoffs pretty easily. So yeah, huge shout there, Dan, and I like it. But Jax, you got anything hot coming out of Prospect League?
So my hot take again has to deal with one of Dan's orgs, Flurry, who are 1 and I believe by the end of this they'll be a top 5 team Prospect League. I only say that because Dan, pretty good history of building teams. He's a vigorous GM. He will go after guys that he wants. Very vocal, what he'll give for those
Oh,
players.
true.
But I do think they'll turn it around. I think Dan knows what he's doing. Plus, so early on, but I truly believe they'll be.
Damn plan.
Okay, buddy. Oh,
Um,
man.
yeah. Dan, thoughts besides Dan plan?
I have faith in Flurry. Yes, they started off 1-3, but I truly believe they are in a weak division. So if they climb on it now, not waiting, now, they have a really good chance of actually taking a top 4 seed.
Yeah. Valence, Prospect
hmm
thoughts?
Yeah. Just like Dan said, I mean, it's all just gonna come down to, in my opinion, who puts in the most work and who executes when they need to. And I think for with the roster that they do have, I definitely think they have that capability.
Mhm. Yeah, I'll say like I don't think Flurry has ever had a bad season since they've been in the league. And Dan, back-to-back GM of the season, knows how to put together a roster. He's gonna do whatever it takes to get them there, whether he's carrying dead bodies across the finish line or not. Um, he'll make it happen. But before we move on to Challenger, let me ask you a question, Dan. Would
Give
you
it to me.
would you come back to playing just to help Flurry out?
Well, you see, I have been
Ooh,
training late nights, so we will see if I decide to come back playing.
ooh,
Okay,
spice.
now that's a hot take right there.
Mhm.
Uh, Challenger League, hot take. You know, I should have thought about this a little more, but um, there's one that's not a hot take that's very obvious, and I think that is just Flame when local gets back, top team, uh, by far. But I think my hot take for Challenger League is um that Venom is going to turn it around. Former defending champions. I think back to back actually for Venom. I think Venom's going to turn it around. Grav is going to figure out what he's doing over there, and Venom. Uh, my hot take is that they won't make it to the playoffs. They're going to win the play-in tournament. That is my hot take for Venom.
Hmm.
Okay, okay.
We know anything about Venom, they can win coming through the play-in bracket.
That's
They've
true.
done it once,
Yeah, they can.
and
Yeah.
they can do it again.
hmm
Yeah. I just let's see. Venom's roster sitting Koala, Milk, Grav, and Hydro. Um,
hmm
I don't know why that team's not winning, but it definitely should be.
It's not a bad roster by any
No, I think Venom could definitely upgrade their roster a little bit if they were to drop somebody and maybe pick up Mangoes, who was recently dropped from, I think that was your org, right, Dan? Snowstorm? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that Snowstorm definitely should have been better than what they were, but you know, you
means.
made you made some roster moves. I mentioned it earlier on the Sunday night when things blew up. Uh, Depending on how they do, my hot take here in a few weeks might change to Snowstorm winning it all.
Oh,
but it depends. I don't know how Riot's going to do in the Challenger League, and
Yeah,
I don't know who S is.
about that squirrel. Riot's kind of getting traded.
Oh,
Oh,
oh. Well then,
He
never mind.
is.
Well, hopefully that works out for you, Dan. But Valence Rival League hot take.
all right. My hot take: Grave Lords makes it to playoffs
Okay,
through the play-in bracket,
do it.
and the reason I say this, I have played with because their roster consisting of Kaser, Trippy, Zach, and Noof. Now I don't know who Noof is, but I do know everyone else, especially Zach. I played with him before because he was actually, I think he's coming to my college next semester, so I was able to get in some games with him, and he's a pretty solid player. I don't know how much I don't think they play, or from what I've heard, they actually practice a lot together. But they're definitely a roster that has a lot of potential. Now, I don't think they'll win playoffs, but I will definitely think that they have the potential to make it through play-ins, especially if they can keep getting if they can start getting the work in and they can start meshing well together with each other because they are sitting at 1-3, so it's not like they're one of those teams that like can't win a game or anything because you know what I mean. So um, I definitely think that they have potential to turn around and at least make it to playoffs.
Mm. Yeah, I'll go before Dan and Jacksaw goes because I am a former Rival League vet myself. Sad that I'm not there this season because I'm not playing, but
What a
uh,
guy!
Blame yourself.
yeah,
What
it's
a
all
guy!
my fault. I think
What
Gravelords
a
can do
guy!
it. Um,
Don't blame the job either.
yeah, I haven't started the job yet, but Gravelords can do it. Going into the season, we thought I thought Gravelords was like bottom of their division. But after seeing how
Mhm.
their division is performing, they have just as much of a chance as anybody. Thunderbird Birds are underperforming. Arrival is underperforming. Galaxy is underperforming. And Gravelords, this team has just as much of a chance as all of them. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
one up your hot take, Valence, and I'm gonna say
All right.
they're gonna make it by winning their division.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm,
All right.
I'm saying it
Over Arrival too. All right.
over
Okay.
Arrival.
I can get that. All right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Dan, thoughts on the hot take?
No, 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 no. I don't think they're gonna make plans at all.
Really?
Really, I do. I know it's a weak division, but also know teams are underperforming,
Hmm.
and either the Thunderbirds or Arrival's gonna take off, in my opinion. And I
Mhm.
truly think the Gravelords will not be strong enough throughout the whole season to make the plans.
Fair.
Okay.
Fair. I can see his perspective. Yeah.
Jax,
So there's a
thoughts?
hot take on a hot take on a hot take.
Yeah, 3 hot takes for Rival League. I like it.
I think sort of speaking on what Dan said, I really do think a team's gonna pull away, especially in the coming we have all the division matchups coming, and I think one team's gonna find their footing amongst all these division games we're about to be playing. I think they're gonna walk away with the division. That could be Gravelords. I personally don't know much about Rival myself, but I do agree that if they win out these division, they could take the division if they want to.
Hmm.
Now I will add that even let's say that Gravewards would struggle in their division games specifically, but start winning a lot of their non-division games because like we've been saying their division's underperforming. Like Galaxy is a team that people thought would be decent, but they're not playing as well. Thunderbirds aren't playing as well, and Arrival's not even playing as well as people would thought. Um, so if they can, even if they'd struggle in division matches, but they can keep winning the matches after that, if their division keeps underperforming, they still have a chance.
Hmm.
So you know,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, when you have a division that's underperforming,
anything can happen.
anything can
At-
happen. Like
Yeah, at all.
one good day, one bad day, and
Hmm.
that could put you from fourth place, or it could drop you down to like seventh place,
Hmm.
depending. We saw that last season with Snowstorm and Pineapples. The
Yes.
Two
Yep.
really good teams. They were in the same division, so one of us was number 1, one of us was number 5. But and it
Wasn't it a
just
tiebreaker that did that? I think the
yeah,
game win.
it came
Yeah.
down to game wins, I think. Well, no,
Yeah.
tiebreaker because they beat us in the regular season both times.
Oh yeah.
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 So, but now Titan League. This one is gonna kind of come out of left field, and I don't have any proof to back this one up, which is why it's a hot take. But I think with the recent roster changes that these teams made, I think Diversion is going to be a play-in team. I don't think I'm not going to go so far as to say they're going to make the playoffs via the play-ins, but Diversion with Larry and Sindit, uh, they have 63 MMR remaining. They could get another 1800, and they could make that team even better. They could get up to an 18-20 if they get rid of Sand. So you know they could really build around Larry and send it. We saw him perform with Godfathers, almost reverse sweeping the Krakens. So I think those two together could be a deadly duo that definitely makes play-ins and turns their season around from 1-3.
I do want to ask. I do want to know. Does anyone here know how Sand is doing in Titan, like performance wise? Because obviously, Squirrel and I know him from the Panthers, and I think it was
Season
season
5.
5.
Yep.
Yeah, because he looked decent in season 5. I just don't know how much he's improved. Because I was surprised when I saw how much his MMR went up
hmm
compared to how it was back then.
Um, well, obviously him being on Diversion, they're struggling 1-3. I don't know
Yeah.
his individual performances, but like as management, when we've looked at stats for player of the week and stuff,
Mhm.
he's not putting up like numbers that would get him noticed or anything. So
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised he's not over there on Grandmasters with Goff because I know they're real life like buddies or teammates or whatever. But Dan, thoughts on Diversion play-ins?
I was really scared that you were gonna say either playoffs or win it all for a second there.
Nah.
I was like, there's this team, this team, this team. No, I think that's realistic if they do pull it around. 1-3, divisional games coming up. Anything's possible.
Mhm.
Win 2 games in a row, back to 500, and you have tiebreakers over your divisional opponents. So
Yep.
anything is possible.
Yep. What about you, Jax?
I'm just I
Did we lose him?
I think
I
so.
can't hear him either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
We lost you.
Ah,
Yikes.
feels bad.
Audio doesn't want to hear his thoughts.
We can see his mouth moving.
Get subtitles going.
Maybe try adjusting your audio settings and redoing your mic. Wait, is it
Get the boom arm.
get the big mic? Nah, we still can't hear you.
Ah,
All right. Um,
unfortunate.
yeah, that is quite sad.
Yeah,
Love to hear.
happens. Oh
Yeah.
well.
Hey,
He-
you know me. I forgot to unmute the first take. So,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's all good.
Jax, you just keep trying to talk and you let us know if it works.
Nope.
We'll let you know when we hear you.
We're
But
gonna find out soon enough.
yeah, we'll find out eventually. But now on to we can come back to you on the hot take whenever you get that working. But we'll move on to games to look forward to. Dan, do you have Novice League again?
I do have novice.
All right. So what are we looking at with these upcoming games?
Down to the best league in Nemesis. I have Pawns versus the Vikings. Both teams are 3-1. Vikings, I do believe, were underrated right now. People see either the Spitfires or the Pawns winning it, but the Vikings, they're looking pretty strong at the beginning of the season, and I think that's one divisional game that we should all be looking forward to. And another one I actually have is Crows versus Aurora. Aurora has Sky Newbie. People know how Sky Newbie is with mechanics. Crows, they got Angel from me. So that's also going to be a very, very nice divisional matchup to look forward to in Novice.
Jax. Oh, I heard noise.
Oh, there he
Oh.
is.
Thank
Yay!
Yes.
All right, Jax. Prospect League games to look forward to. Wait, we lost him again.
Oh,
It was going so well for 2 seconds.
Tap your mic again. Okay, we hear that.
Right?
all right.
Try
What?
try putting it closer. And
Okay,
take.
wait. There.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
I found a setting that was like activated in voice settings for
Okay.
some odd reason. Okay,
Alright.
and we're on division games, right? Yeah.
Division
Yes.
games.
Is it my division games or are we talking?
Prospect League.
Okay.
Which division games are you looking forward to most?
So I have a division game that's unbiased and a division game that's sort of biased because it's my team. The first division game I have to look forward to is the Blackhawks, who are 4-0. I'm not familiar with what they were ranked in the powering. Let me just go there really quickly. They seem to, so they were in the bottom half of the power rankings for the preseason, and you know the preseason power rankings have a tough job because it's
speculation.
preseason.
Yeah.
But I do think they've surprised everyone being 4-0. I don't think many people expected them to just be at the top. But they'll be playing Banshees, who are 2-2. And the interesting thing with this matchup is that Blackhawks basically have double the amount of wins and half the amount of losses per series. So it's going to be a tough matchup for Banshees. Obviously, if Banshees wins the game against Blackhawks, Banshees probably is going to be a lot better, or it'll show that they're a lot better than their record shows. But if the Blackhawks win, I do think they're going to be, or they're going to secure themselves as a top 2 in the league. The other division game, however, would be my division rival, the Bandits, who are 4-0, playing against my Rooks, who are 3-1. The reason I think this is a division game to watch out for is because my Rooks were ranked, I think, like dead last or second to last preseason, and now that we're 3-1, we have our roster. They found their footing. I know someone here has reached out to me regarding one of our players. Sorry, Dan. But I do think this will be a real test to see if Bandits is legit, or if either team are legit. To be honest, our records are very similar in terms of games won. Just we got swept in a series, and Bandits is yet to lose. So it'll be two very interesting matchups, but I'm sure I'm just hoping for close games. I think we all are just hoping for close, fun division matchups like you'd always want.
Yeah, some content. And speaking of content, I think the Challenger League has some divisional matchups that are to die for. Papayas taking on Flame, two undefeated teams in the Challenger League, not just battling for who's undefeated, but they're also battling. Well, I was gonna say for that number one, number two spot, but Hellcats have that number one spot locked up. But um, Papayas and Flame, people still think are the best team, even though they did lose to Ascension. So this is going to be Flame without Local for this first round of division matches. If Papayas want to win it, they've got to do it now because Flame might look even better with Local. And the second division match I'm looking forward to is right below it in the Central East, and that's Ascension versus Raptors. Um, that is a game that Ascension needs to win. Ascension beating Flame was a very good win, and I think they a lot of people viewed Ascension as like the number one team at that point, and then the Papayas surprised them, and I think Ascension needs that win against the Raptors to just kind of prove to everybody that they're a top team once again, and then obviously whoever wins that matchup is winning that division. Um, Essentially, barring no upsets. But those are my two Challenger League like division matches to look forward to. Um, so Rival League, what you got, Mr. Valence?
Okay. So I have two matches to look forward to. So first one is biased. It's my team. Pineapples versus Whiteout.
Mhm.
I think this is going to be a really close one. Pineapples, us sitting at 4-0, and then Whiteout at 3-1. Both really good rosters, especially Whiteout with Larry and Reiki, which I think is a pretty dangerous duo. Um, so that one's going to be kind of like the situation that Swirl just mentioned with the challenger. That I think whoever wins this match will win their division. Because it will definitely, whoever wins will definitely set the most tone for that division. Um, so that one I think will definitely be a very close match. And then the second one I got is Hydra and Knights. Hydra being 4-0 and Knights also being 3-1. I'm very curious to see if Hydra can run into it when they run into the Knights. If Knights can give them their first loss, because I've been talking to Biscuit about how they've been doing, and even watching them against the I think it was Mafiosos on Saturday. Um, they looked really good together. Deshega, Mayo, and Biscuit, and like I said, Vulcan, Squintle, and Sosa are a good team. That mesh pretty well together. So I think that's going to be a close matchup too. Now I do want to point out that for the Pineapple Whiteout game, the only thing that definitely makes it stand out that Pineapples have a little bit more of an edge. As biased as it sounds, but I'm just going off of the past of Whiteout this season, is that they ended up their loss was to Thunderbirds in 5. And Thunderbirds being one of those teams that we talked about earlier, being that like it's one of those teams that we thought was going to be really, really good and strong, but they're underperforming.
Mhm.
So, as biased as it sounds, it's just I feel like that just gives Pineapples the edge over Whiteout a little bit because Whiteout still has that loss in the back, as we have the momentum with the 4-0 with wins. But both those matches are definitely going to be ones that are going to be a lot of deciding factors for the games to come and for the standings and playoffs.
Dan, thoughts real quick before we move to Titan League?
Reiki's the sub.
Really?
Wait, is he really?
Wow.
Reiki a sub? Wait,
That
why is that?
Guess you'll find out.
yeah, that's
Was
kind
it
of
was it a you thing?
that's
Was it
kind
a, can I at least know if it was a you thing?
that's kind of scary though. If Reiki's the sub, knowing how good he is.
Yeah,
Wow.
right. Ria has been playing the games.
Good.
So okay, so it's Rio just playing really well then.
Hmm. Okay.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
I like it. I like it. But
I
uh,
hate his smirk though, but okay.
uh, Titan League, I have really 3 games to look forward to, and they're all in the same division. All right. Yeah, it's crazy. Uh,
Okay.
the first one, Bananas and Krakens. All right, the 2 undefeated teams. Duh,
Division
right?
stacked.
That's a
That's
duh,
gonna be
right?
good.
The
That's
second
gonna be
one
good.
is Bananas Blizzard. Uh, 4-0 team versus I think Blizzard 3-1, defending champions. Even
Mhm.
though Blizzard got nerfed this season, they're still looking good. 3-0 or 3-1, still a top shot for the Titan League. And then the last one is Blizzard and Krakens. Um, Although Bananas and Krakens is going to tell you a lot about those 2 teams, how each of them individually do against Blizzard is going to also tell you a lot. Um, so, like for example, if Krakens win, you know, 3-2 over Bananas, but Blizzard beats Krakens and then Bananas beats Blizzard, you've got this absolute poop show in the Atlantic
Yeah.
East, and that's why I think those are my 3 division matches to look forward to, because it could be something just absolutely ridiculous pop up off up there.
I remember a scenario like this was like 2 seasons ago in Prospect. Everybody beat each other. So we couldn't figure out who was power ranked higher. But I'm looking forward to it because general manager of Blizzard, and I truly think that it might be a scenario like that a team beats another, and it's probably gonna happen like that. They're very good teams, and then you have Inferno sitting there looking pretty. But sorry,
It's gonna be a very, very close division. I think probably the closest division out of every division. It's gonna be definitely the one that's gonna be the most the one that's gonna be looked at the most, for sure.
Mhm.
It's a
Think
lot of good matches.
they might take like hypothetically like 1-5-6.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
they realistically could, and
It's gonna
that's
be really fun.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, to me, like just looking through the rosters and the records, I don't know if there's any games that would be as exciting as those three for the Titan League. But yeah, any last thoughts on Titan League? I know Dan, you've mentioned yours. Valence, what about you, Jax?
I have to say the matchup between Krakens and Bananas, that's gonna be something. I mean, I don't know how often it is because I haven't been super like active in checking the standings every season, to see who's where. But I would think that two 4-0 teams who are division rivals with each other facing off against each other. I don't know how rare that is. So I think that could be a very heated matchup. Maybe a little toxicity in there, get inside each other's
Ooh.
heads.
I like it.
Um, but that's this next week and a half is really gonna, I think, flesh out that division a little bit more. And I don't think it's too far fetched, like you guys said, that these could easily be the 1, 5, and 6 teams in Titan League. I think that's very reasonable to think that way.
Mhm. Yeah, and hopefully that can get on stream because that's gonna be some content
Yeah.
for sure. Um, but that's gonna do it for everything we had planned. We tried to make this one a little shorter, but we still ran to about the 45-minute mark. So we'll keep working on the format, try to get these a little shorter for you all. That way you can like give it your full undivided attention and not have to skip half the video, get that viewer retention rate up. But do we have any closing thoughts from you all, lovely gentlemen?
Get ready. It's gonna be one hell of a week.
After the break, you mean?
Yes, after the break. It's gonna be a very interesting week and a half after the break's done, for sure.
I was gonna say this is gonna be a hell of a week because I'm gonna get
It's
schlossed, but that's okay.
just keep an
Um,
eye out.
I think we should look for upsets.
Yeah, you
That
think so?
too. Yes.
Es-
Mm.
I agree, especially coming after a break.
Especially in divisions too. I think there might be some division upsets for
Hmm.
sure.
Well, Jax,
Yeah.
any closing thoughts?
I think we're gonna find out which teams have been farming off of poor teams,
Hmm.
and I think those teams are gonna be exposed for what they really are in these next week and a half. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Power rankings is gonna have a blast with this one.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. But on the flip side of that coin, I'll say that there's going to be some people who are fortunate enough to get to farm some teams twice this season because you do play your division twice.
Yep.
Uh, so that's one of the positives and the negatives of the division games. But division games are the most important games, so teams will be trying their absolute best. Um, but boys, I want to thank y'all for being here with me. Viewers, thank y'all for checking this out. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Reach out to me. Let me know if you like this format. I liked it. I thought it was pretty smooth and flowed really well. But I want your feedback. We're gonna probably stick with this for the next 2 or 3 weeks. That way, you're able to digest it and really think about how you feel about it. But uh, we love y'all. We thank you for watching. We hope you'll join us for our next episode, which ideally would be next week with this new format. So thank y'all. Love y'all. Y'all have a great night. See you, boys.